All right, perfect. Hello and welcome to the Quiq webinar. At Quiq, we've built a best-in-class, next-generation asynchronous messaging platform. It ties into over 12 different channels, one of them being Google Business Messages. But Google Business Messages isn't just a channel. It is a true product filled with features that really transform businesses for both increasing sales, decreasing costs, and making the connection between a business and their customers meaningful. But just don't take my word for it. Today, I'm joined with both Miriam and Katie, both from Google, and they're going to share their stories and their perspectives of how Google Business Messages is really changing the game for many of these businesses, and we invite you to learn more about it. So with that, Miriam, Katie, welcome to joining us on this webinar today, and thank you.
Hey, Lawrence, thank you so much for having us here. Hi, my name is Miriam, and I am a partnerships manager for the business communications team here at Google. I work closely with Quiq, and I'm thrilled to be here today to talk more about business messages and how you can support your customers and make more meaningful connections with them, and all the great things that Quiq can do to support you in that. I'm here today with my colleague, Katie. Katie, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Miriam. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Osberg, and I lead global retail partnerships for Google's new and exciting suite of what we call our business communication products. More broadly speaking, though, our team's tasked with helping businesses create more meaningful connections with consumers through conversation. So to illustrate this, I thought I'd take a moment to introduce you to Miriam and I's dear friend, Susan. Okay, so spoiler alert, Susan and myself and Miriam aren't exactly best friends, but she's certainly somebody that we would definitely look up to. After joining Google's employee number 16 and helping our founders start the world's largest search engine out of her garage, Susan then went on to run the world's second largest search engine. Some of you might not know this, is YouTube. And she's been doing so since about 2014. As a result, you can imagine that Susan's been a little busy since 1998. So it's safe to say that her time is incredibly valuable. Much like the many hats I'm sure all of you wear, Susan's not just a CEO. She's a wife, a mother of 5, sister, aunt, friend, mentor, board member, and to be honest, I probably could go on. But the point is, fast, convenient, and assistive, personalized connections throughout Susan's day-to-day life, probably personally and professionally, are critical to maximizing efficiency each and every day. So if you guys will humor me, I'd like to take you on a journey through an average day in the life of Susan Wojcicki. Like most mornings, today Susan's up early at 6 a.m. to sneak in a quick workout, followed by getting her kids ready for school. Once everyone's out the door, she typically brews a fresh cup of coffee, reads the latest tech news before heading into work. On this morning in particular, though, Susan received a text from her colleague and friend, Sundar. The text read, "Hey, Susan, can you pick up donuts on your way in?" Laughing to herself because it's the second time Sundar's asked this week, Susan quickly toggles over to Google Maps and she searches for donut shops nearby. When her favorite shop pops up, Darn Good Donuts, she promptly selects the chat button. Once in the conversation, Susan's greeted by a warm and friendly welcome message that reads, "Hi there, Susan. What can we help you with today?" Knowing that pickup is probably her best option, Susan selects place pickup order. Darn Good Donuts then asks if she'd like her usual. Now, for context, Susan is a frequent flyer at Darn Good Donuts, so placing her order for the usual baker's dozen of assorted donuts and pastries was really no problem at all for the local shop. In fact, they're even able to pass her an estimated turnaround time accompanied by directions. That way, she can plan her trip to work accordingly. Upon arrival, checkout is fast and frictionless, and off to the office she goes. Now, later that same day, Susan received a text from her good friend Ruth. The text read, "Hey, Susan, thanks for offering to bring something for the game on Sunday. How does an appetizer sound?" Yikes! Susan's completely forgotten that she volunteered to bring a dish, and she's likely not going to have time to track down a recipe and go shopping by Saturday. Being the problem solver, however, that she is, Susan quickly remembers that her favorite local grocer now delivers, which is amazing. So again, she turns to Google. but this time to google.com. When she's looked up Uncle Larry's grocer, she promptly clicks through on chat. She's greeted then by Larry, ULG's virtual assistant, and the message then reads, "Hey there, valued shopper. Great to see you. I'm Larry, here to help you with all of your grocery needs. Should we get started on an order? Or might you be looking for some new, tasty recipe ideas?" Not sure yet what she wanted to bring to the party, Susan selects recipe ideas. She's then met with a handful of fantastic choices. Having not had stuffed mushrooms in a while, she clicks through on View Recipe and is quickly taken to ULG's website. There, the products to complete the recipe are pre-selected, and Susan's able to add them to cart, select delivery, and checkout with just a few clicks. Problem solved. Later on Friday evening, Susan received a text message from her good friend Bart. The text read, "Hey Susan, are you excited for your upcoming 5K? And the truth was, well, yes, she was excited. She was new to the sport of running and was a little bit nervous about the upcoming race. She had just started training a few weeks ago, and before even getting started, she'd messaged her local running store to help her select the right pair of shoes. As if they knew she needed a check-in that evening, an hour later after she chatted with Bart, Bridgeport runners coincidentally reached back out to Susan as a follow-up to their prior conversation. The message read, "Hey Susan, Dash here. How's training coming? Are you liking your new shoes? As a heads up, with the weather cooling off considerably, we're having a winter gear sale through the end of the weekend. Let us know if anything catches your eye." Susan hadn't even thought about the rapidly dropping temperatures, so she quickly selected winter gear sale to review the promotions being offered. Now, when we think about Susan's day in aggregate, she was met with conversation on multiple occasions in her moments of need. The complement to familiar search and maps experiences led to a delightful and personalized consumer experience. Because if you recall, she was greeted by name. The context of her previous orders were used to simplify her transaction. And in that last example, the brand checked back in to ensure she was happy with her recent purchase. It also led to a fast and frictionless experience. For example, placing an order via messaging and having driving directions readily available, it saved Susan time. And finally, it delivered an assistive and inspirational experience. By providing product inspiration and alerting Susan to a consumer need she may not have even knew she had, the retailer was able to drive a sale without actually having to ask for one. Like Susan, consumers turn to search in the moments that matter. In fact, 70% of online experiences start with the search engine, and 92% of those start on, you guessed it, google.com. With billions of searches occurring every day, we often bucket these searches into what we call micro moments, or 4 separate groups. I want to know moments, I want to go moments, I want to buy moments, and I want to do moments. But the problem with many Google search experiences today is we're not always surfacing consumers their preferred form of communication, messaging. In fact, 89% of users now say that they want to connect with businesses via messaging. 1 in 4 consumers who say they will avoid stores because they're not sure if a product's in stock. More than half of consumers have said they're more likely to shop with businesses that they can message, and 63% of consumers would switch to a company that offered messaging as a channel. In response to the growing desire to message, we publicly launched Google's business messages back in 2020. This channel enables brands to seamlessly deliver helpful, timely, and engaging experiences right in the moment a user needs help. Users can now launch a conversation with you from wherever they are, from a Google search query, Google Maps, within our Phone by Google app, and even from your brand-owned channels, like, say, your app or mobile website, even emails that you send out to your customers. We even launched our first conversational search ads pilot last year, enabling advertisers to pull customers down the funnel in real time. Once in the conversation, customers are supported with a combination of both smart automation and live agents, meaning you can optimize your operations so that automation solves tactical queries at scale, and live agents can resolve higher value problems or sales opportunities. We just give brands access to what's called the Business Messages API, which takes a user from the entry point directly into the conversation with the brand. This is an experience that brands own and operate, and it can either be stood up in-house or with your preferred messaging partner like Quiq. The best part of it all is that it's asynchronous, meaning that customers can revisit a conversation in 2 minutes, 2 days, or even 2 weeks and pick up right where they left off. They can even enter the chat from a different entry point, say from Google Maps instead of Google Search, and still not miss a beat. Brands around the world are already using business messages as part of their customer support, sales, and marketing initiatives, and you can too. With that, I'd like to kick it over to Miriam to review how one might bring this activation to life. Miriam, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. I love hearing all about business messages, and I hope everybody learned some things about why messaging is important and why Google's leaning into it so heavily. So Katie talked a lot about making this simple, making automation part of this journey. Automation is the ultimate brand ambassador at scale. It's cost efficient, it's reliable, it's consistent, and it can ever evolve according to how real people are interacting with conversational experiences. Automation, and this is really important, does not replace live agents, but it supports them and it helps take them to the next level. For many user journeys, humans are a key piece of the puzzle. They can solve problems and support people in ways that automation just can't. However, automation in conjunction with those live agents is key to business messages and messaging in general at scale. Think about this, it's cost efficient. Multiple one-to-one conversations can happen simultaneously at any time of the day, even on weekends, holidays, whenever. Human time and bandwidth are freed up, meaning that those humans, when they're needed, can be taking care of really important things. Automation is consistent and it's fast. Questions can be answered and addressed quickly, efficiently, and people can be used when they're most valuable. Now, I know automation can be kind of scary, but it doesn't need to be. You can start with really simple bots that answer common questions. This can be a big time saver for you and for your customers. And it takes a lot of pressure off your agents. As you see what people need, what questions they're asking, you can add in more automation to support more complex journeys and then answer more questions. Quiq can help with this. You just need to tell them you want to get started. Okay, let's take a little bit of a look at what else business messages can do and how some of this works. We'll also look at some examples of successes that other brands are having. We all learned this from a really young age. First impressions matter. The welcome message is the first thing that someone sees when they enter the chat. It needs to reassure customers that they were right to tap through and that their curiosity will be rewarded. You want to encourage them to continue the conversation, as well as set expectations and tone for the rest of the conversation. We have some tips that we're happy to share for best practices about how this all works, and the team at Quiq are absolute pros at this. Along with the welcome message, suggestion tips help narrow down the options and guide the customer. When someone starts a conversation, Google passes the language of the device back to you as well. That way, you can support messaging in a variety of languages, giving your customers what they really need. The more direction you give to your consumers, the smoother the journey will be, and rich features help you enable this. You can use images, you can use carousels, and you can use chips to liven up the experience and help guide the conversation. You can link off to the website and also allow people to log in using authentication. Try to keep the number of steps to a minimum in order to avoid drop-off and provide quick and easy help. For those times when human agents are needed, handing off to a live agent from within the conversation is really, really easy. This is going to be important because there are going to be some complex queries or times when a consumer's concerns go beyond what your automation can handle. That's fine. Just transition it to a human. With business messages, customers can request live agents in a number of ways. And of course, you can always choose to have humans jump into the conversation even before someone asks. There are probably times that you know this is going to be the best approach. To smooth the transition from automation to live agents, it's great to state the estimated wait time. And when the person enters the chat, update the sender name and avatar photo to make it clear who the user is chatting with. It's a person, not a bot, and now it can be personal as well. As Katie mentioned earlier, business messages is asynchronous and the conversation is persistent. It serves as a record so that the questions they've asked, the products they've explored, and the info that they've gotten from agents, statuses of orders, all of that remains in the conversation. Things don't have to be written down, and your live agents have access to the same information as well. So you can pick up those conversations exactly where you left off, and people don't need to repeat themselves. Katie also touched on re-engagement earlier. Because business messages is an asynchronous platform, not only can customers come back to you when they have a follow-up question, but you can also reach back out to them. You can do this for about 30 days. You need a clear reason for reaching back out, one that serves the customer's interest and doesn't hint at spam. But as Katie showed, you can follow up about shopping, you can share order status. Also, if someone books an appointment for next week, send them a reminder about it, the date, the time, who they're meeting with, if anything special is required. This is more efficient both for your customer service agents as well as for the person and the team that gets there when they arrive. Okay, so we've shared a little bit about what business messages is, as well as some of the features it has. Now, let's look at some of the success stories that other brands are having with it. So one thing I didn't mention is that business messages is a global product. It can go live anywhere in the world. Here's a great example. Estafeta is a logistics company in Mexico. As with many companies, they've seen a growing demand and long wait times over the past few years. When they enabled business messages on Google Search, Maps, and their own website, they saw a 20% increase in reach to their support channels. But since this increase, as well as some of the existing traffic, came in via messaging, they actually saved money. Messaging is more cost-effective for brands than calling, and automation enabled them to handle many queries without humans in the chat. 98% of their queries were contained within their automation. They were also able to improve CSAT scores since people didn't have to wait on hold, and they were able to get answers quickly. At the end of the business messages experience, a survey is sent asking for feedback. Reviewing this feedback can help you understand where improvements can be made to the experience, and it, generally speaking, lets you know how things are going and what's working well and what's not. Back here in the US, Dish has also launched business messages. They've also seen a really big increase in customer experience scores. People really like the experience of using business messages, and they've seen great improvements in their efficiency. They had huge decreases in handle times and a much better resolution rate by switching to asynchronous chat from synchronous conversations and phone calls. They're finding this a really powerful way to connect with their customers and resolve issues going forwards. TED-I are a retailer in Europe. During the pandemic, they also saw large increases in wait times, and they launched business messages to help support their customers who wanted to go shopping. During the pandemic, a lot of people didn't want to go into stores and walk around and risk not finding what they wanted. So by launching this agent, TED-I was able to support these people. 70% of the interactions that they saw were pre-purchase related. People wanting to know if something was in stock, people wanting to know what things were like. These are people that might not have made this purchase if they'd been forced to come into the store. And even with this big increase in volume and all these questions coming in, they were also able to save time and be more productive. In fact, they saved about an hour a day per agent, which was over a 10% increase in productivity. Okay, we've talked a lot. We've told you all about business messages. I'm sure you all have some questions. And we're really appreciative to be here, and we hope we can answer all of them.
So here's a question that I have for you guys. We're in the tech industry and we're constantly asked, hey, so what are you working on and what do you do? And I always find that I'll pull out my phone and I'll actually run a Google Business Messages example right from Maps to show someone. And I always get that aha moment, it's almost like a magic trick. They're like, I had no idea that was capable, Are you finding that as you do that with your friends and colleagues, more and more people are just now finding out about Google Business Messages?
Yeah, I could start. So I think that's a really good question. Business Message has been around for a couple of years now, but the truth is a lot of people don't know about it. We're all really used to picking up the phone and making phone calls. But I think it's becoming more common. And I think messaging in general is becoming more common. So while some people are surprised by it, I do think more and more people know it's there and know to expect it. And as more brands launch and as more great experience come of this, that's going to happen even more. I was actually able to show it to my mom, and even she understood it. So I think that was real progress. That's like a bar for success for me, I think. So.
Yeah. Well, then I'll turn it over to Katie. You focus on retail. For retailers, when you're showing them this capability, what's their response? What do they think about, getting onto the bandwagon of Google Business Messages?
Well, it really depends on which group I'm talking to. So when I'm talking to customer care folks, they're like, this is fantastic, because customer care calls are anywhere from like $5 to $10 a call per average. And if we can automate a lot of good questions that aren't good fits, frankly, for humans, like it's a massive cost savings for them. When I talk with like omni-channel experience people, people want both digital and physical experiences to be frictionless. And I think that that's just like the user expectation. It's kind of like the moment you're in a cab and you get out of the cab and you're like, oh, you have to pay me. And you're like, oh, I forgot that we have to exchange money, because now the standard in which they expect is just everything's been done through an application. So I think customers right now are on a journey, and I kind of think of it as like the smart home journey in your house. Like if you had a Google Home or an Alexa, you might have started about thinking like, hey, what's the weather today? Asking it like basic questions. But as people have evolved leveraging this technology, they understand they can do substantially more advanced things. They can turn their lights on. They can have Google book them a reservation for, their anniversary dinner on Friday. There's a multitude of things you can do. So I think we're towards the beginning of that journey, but the conversations I'm having with retailers started with care, like answering questions in real time. And they're proceeding to seeing this as both a sales channel that is really freeing up the humans to do what humans do best. And that's sell, solve problems, things of that nature. So we're in the middle of the journey, if you will.
Absolutely. Well,
the other thing that I wanted to share is I do think, as you saw in some of the case studies we talked about earlier, the pandemic has really shifted a lot of our attitudes and our behaviors. Several of the ones we showed, those really became more popular during the pandemic. Our behaviors, how we shop and how we interact with the world changed. We didn't want to go into stores anymore. We saw that in the TED-I example. We wanted to understand what we were getting, and a lot of phone lines were closed down. A lot of call centers were closed down. Response times were getting longer. So people were really open to finding new ways to communicate. And since messaging is how we wanted to communicate already, and more brands were launching messages, I really think all of this has picked up for all parts of that journey. To sort of Katie's point that we're really expanding into those retail experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. Let's actually break that down into the two pieces. There's that customer journey. And I got to tell you, for Google, you guys nailed it. You're making a great customer experience for them. It's a moment of delight. So back to my example, when I like to show off the product and go, hey, have you seen this? Like, look at what you can do with Men's Warehouse directly, right in search. Everybody gets that moment of delight going, wow, I had no idea. That is so cool. That is so convenient, But then to the audience that's watching this webinar right now, it's how do I make that work in my business? And that's where Quiq comes in.
Absolutely.
We've built out the software that works in your CRM, whether it's Salesforce, Zendesk, or Oracle, or Microsoft Dynamics. We've built it so that way it's not rip and replace. It's to upgrade what you've already invested in. And now we've given you these capabilities with Google. So, that's what I love about the relationship that we have with Google is let us take care of the software for that agent, for that business. and I'll let you guys do with what you do best, which is bubbling up search results, bubbling up meaningful results, and then also tying in search and maps and ads all together. Beautifully done. No, absolutely love it.
I agree with that. And you make it so easy for brands, just reach out to you. And, we've seen you go live pretty quickly with this stuff. So I know it could be done. And you offer a lot of the brands you work with some amazing features and do make it just easy and delightful for them, not only to launch, but to continue to grow and to develop those experiences, to take the brand and the users on that journey. So it doesn't have to be hard to get started, but you really can over time do some pretty amazing things and make an impact both for brands and for consumers. And we're super grateful to work with you on this.
Couldn't agree more. Love the partnership that we have. And for Katie on the retail front, we've got Maurice's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Overstock, Neiman Marcus. These are just great retailers that are finding great success, with Google Business Messages. So it's great that we can all be working together. Well, we wanted to keep this short. We wanted to keep this tight. Love the story. Love the slides. Thank you so much, Katie and Miriam, for being with me today. And this will be available on our replay. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. It's great being here.